Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Doctorate, and today we're going to be talking about winter allergies. And so allergies don't just happen in the spring and the summer. There's more to allergies than just hay fever, and so we're going to be talking about those today. The things that we're going to be talking about today are important because understanding allergies can help you feel better so that you know what's going on, but then ultimately make your pet feel better too. So let's start at the basics. What is an allergy? Well, an allergy actually is an immune response. It is the body mounting a reaction to some stimulation in the environment, and it feels like it needs to respond to that, and the immune system has to attack that. It thinks it's foreign, it thinks it's bad, and so it starts this inflammatory cascade that we know as an allergy. So a true allergy is an immune response, opposed to an irritant. So an irritant is just something that is maybe topically caustic or slightly a slight aggravation, but it's not to the depth of a true immune response, which we're gonna call an allergy. So there are different signs of allergies. They're the ones that people commonly think of as an allergy that are actually an irritant. So in our companion animals, cats and dogs, allergies do not manifest typically as watery eyes or sneezing or hay fever. That's going to be more of an upper respiratory irritant. How you're going to notice allergies occurring in your pet is most often going to be signs such as licking excessively, itching, scratching, and honestly, licking is a big one. A lot of people don't feel, they'll come into my office and I'll say, is your pet itchy? And they'll say no, but they lick an awful lot. That's considered itching. They're licking because they're itchy. And so you're going to see those. You may see some skin redness. You may see some irritation on the skin. Another common allergy manifestation in our pets is actually ear infections. So if your pet has recurrent ear infections, that could be an allergy as well. And so that brings me to a wonderful place to thank our sponsor, Waggle, for sponsoring this video and letting me bring this important information to you. Some people don't know that their pet is excessively itching or licking until it's too late. And so they don't bring their pet in until there's a big giant sore there, a big giant hot spot. But if you had something like the Waggle Pet Cam, you would be able to be monitoring your pet and watching your pet and being able to convey to your veterinarian that you are seeing an uptick in the itching and the scratching and the licking and some behaviors that might indicate that a problem is occurring, and get to the root of it before it gets to a serious medical condition. And so once you have determined that yes, my pet is, they're licking a little bit more than normal, this is not just my imagination, what do you need to do? You need to get them into the vet, and we need to get a diagnosis. It can be more than just one thing. Your pet can have an allergy, yes, but they can also have a skin infection on top of that, or a fungal infection. And so we want to make sure that we get the proper diagnosis. You have to make sure you get the diagnosis first. That way our treatment plan is direct and it is more tailored to the specific needs of our pets. There are different types of allergies, and so you may have one going on or you may have many. So the main type of allergy or allergic reaction that people think of is the big one. That's anaphylaxis. That is, where you get the massive life-threatening release of these inflammatory mediators. It's the ones that often need hospitalization. It's the one, we see fantasized in the movies if someone eats a shrimp or something like that and they go into anaphylaxis. That's not what we're talking about in this video. There's also contact allergies, so that's where you touch something that's topically irritating. So in people, that would be like poison ivy. You touch it and you get a contact allergy from it. There's food allergies, so we've talked about that. I have a video dedicated on that you can check out on the specifics, ins and outs of food allergies. But what we're going to be talking today are going to be winter-specific environmental allergies, also called atopic dermatitis. What's important to know about these type of allergies is that they are inhaled. So even during the winter, when your pets aren't spending a lot of time outside, our homes are not perfectly HEPA filter bubbles. So there is outside air being circulated in, and that can be enough to simulate an allergic response in your pet. So we're going to be talking about those more in details. So how are we going to determine which of these is going on? How are you and your vet going to work together to figure this out? They're going to recommend most likely some sort of testing. So it may be avoidance. You may have a suspicion to what the allergy is, and they may say, let's just try to avoid it. Let's eliminate that from the environment for a few weeks and see how things, pan out. they may do a blood allergy test. And so there are tests that you can do where they take a sample of blood, mail that off to the allergy lab, and analyze your pet for allergen specifics to your area and to your region. Now that does not work for food allergy, we've talked about that, but for environmental allergies and atopic dermatitis, there are some wonderful labs out there that can get that information for us. We may take that a little step further and we may do an intradermal skin test. And so that's where we take specific allergens and we do that prick test, and then we monitor the body for the inflammatory response on the pricks, and we can tell what your pet's allergic to based on that. That's often done at a dermatologist. So yes, there are pet specific dermatologists, and you may find that you need to visit one if this is becoming very difficult to figure out. The other thing that you may find is your veterinarian may suggest, or you guys may agree on doing a trial by treatment. And so what that means is we've come to a differential diagnosis. We've come to a couple things that we think may be the problem. And we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna try some medications for the most likely thing and see if that works. If it works, well then we've got our diagnosis. So once we've come to the point where we have this diagnosis, we have to figure out what the actual allergy is, hopefully. Sometimes we can figure it out, sometimes we can't. Now, if you are in a warmer climate, you're not going to be so lucky because the seasons may not change enough where you get that seasonal shift. But in climates that do experience those nice broad shifts where we can see actually leaves changing colors and things like that and snow on the ground, you may be able to pinpoint a few things. And in the winter, some of the most common things that we see that cause allergies are going to be dust mites, mold, danders, and pollens. So again, these things are in the home. They're being brought in by our air and circulation, air circulatory systems, and so they're inhaled and they are stimulating this atopic dermatitis. So let's talk about a few of these. So dust mites, these are gonna thrive in warm, humid, indoor environments. And so during the winter, we've got those heaters on and we may be stimulating some dust mite activation there. Your pet is in the home more because they're not out as much, and so they may be coming into contact with dust mites a little bit more, and their allergies could flare up because of that. Mold, we know that that is going to grow in damp areas, basements and bathrooms, and so again, we're spending more time indoors. The windows are not open as much to get the circulation, and we may have some mold growth that can stimulate an allergic reaction in our pets. Dander, this is one that surprised me actually when I started doing blood testing. Pets again are sensitive to a lot of the things that humans are. So they can be sensitive to other pet dander. So if you have a cat, they may be sensitive to dog dander and vice versa. But what I just learned recently on one of my allergy panels is our pets can actually be allergic to human dander. So again, we're spending more time in the house, we're spending more time cuddling and snuggling, but that could actually be causing an allergic reaction in your pet. So diagnosis is key. Diagnosis is key. Pollens, same thing. We got trees and we got weeds that may be specific to the winter climate. Even though they're indoors, again, it's not a bubble, and some of that circulated air may have those pollens in them and can stimulate an immune reaction just from that. The other thing that I wanted to touch base on here, again, circling back to the irritant versus allergy, sometimes your pet may not be itching and maybe just having that watery eye, some of that drainage, nothing major. Obviously, if your pet is squinting or having serious, ocular problems, you want to get that checked out, but just, minor little things you're noticing, maybe a little bit more sneezing or a little more ocular discharge, that could be from the common winter irritants that we see. And so in the home, in the fall, in the winter months, we tend to have more fragrances and candles. Those can be irritating, especially to cats. They tend to be very sensitive to the scents of essential oils and things like that. Very developed olfactory system that we don't always associate with cats, so they do tend to be a little bit more sensitive. Fireplaces, so the smoke and the particles from that can be irritating. Heaters kind of drying out the air, making the air more dry, can be irritating to the sinuses for them, just like us. And then anything that pets may not be normally exposed to such great amounts of time. So like if you commonly deodorize or freshen your carpets and now your pet is spending more time in the house on the carpet versus outside playing in the yard, it can actually stimulate a mild irritation to the upper airways as well. But if we've determined that's not the case and your pet has actually been diagnosed with a true allergy, what do we do? What can we do about it? What options are out there? Well, there are medications, pharmaceuticals specific for pets. I get asked a lot about antihistamines. For atopic dermatitis in pets, we very rarely use antihistamines because their allergies are not mediated by histamine like people. So again, people, allergies a lot of times, hay fever, sneezing, that's a histamine response. Our pets actually have a specific chemical that mediates their itchy skin related to allergies, and that is an interleukin inflammatory response. And so we actually have medications that can pinpoint those receptors and turn them off. And those are called Apoquel and Cytopoint. And I do have a video on that as well if you'd like more information on those particular pharmaceuticals that your veterinarian may mention. You can get allergy shots made as well, so that's a common thing in immunotherapy in people. If you've had that intradermal skin testing or that blood allergy testing done, there is the availability to have shots done, or if you're squeamish, they actually can also do sublingual drops to desensitize your pet. Now, it does take more time when you do that, and so a pharmaceutical may work within a couple weeks to a month, where the allergy immunotherapy is retraining the immune system to not be hypervigilant against these presumed threats that aren't real. And so that takes time, and it may take a year, 6 months to a year to get through an immunotherapy program. But in the long run, it can be more cost effective, and it is a more natural way of addressing the allergy. The other thing, again, going back to avoidance, may be environmental controls. There may be some things that you can change up in the environment, simple little changes that allow you to manage the allergy without having to do some of these more intense interventions. So some of the things that you can do at home: regular cleaning and vacuuming, carpets and upholstery. Let's get that dander up. Let's remove some of those mold spores. Keep your home humidity controlled. So again, a lot of these things will populate in the humidity, and it's one of those Goldilocks situations. If we dry it out too much, we're gonna have some irritation. If we keep it too humid, we're gonna get that dust mite and mold growth. And so finding it just right can be a challenge, but it really can help keep some of the allergens down. Your pet's bedding should be washed frequently. I would recommend washing without any fragrances or anything like that, because again, they're going to be spending more time snuggling up, and we don't want any of that irritation to occur. But frequently washing and physically removing some of those irritants can help maintain an allergy without having to, again, go into some pharmaceuticals. Air purifiers can help, because we talked about how it's an inhaled allergy, and so HEPA filters and changing your home filtration system can definitely make a big difference and help in these situations. And then mold prevention, you want to always, for your personal health and your pet's health, make sure that you're fixing leaks promptly and you're keeping bathrooms well ventilated with fans, since we're probably not opening the windows if it's really cold outside. And then, of course, back to mention our sponsor, Waggle. Early detection is key. If we can catch these things early before there is a skin infection, if we can catch that scratching and licking at the very beginning, we can put a stop to it, and it will not lead to some of the more challenging inflammatory response that's been going on for a long time. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you have learned a few things about allergies that occur even in the winter months, and that you will check out my sponsor, mywaggle.com, and I hope you guys will hang out with me again real soon for some more of these educational videos. Keep warm.